Welcome everyone to Two Intellects Talk About Stuff. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about Westworld, Season 1, Episode 6. It's called The Adversary. Welcome, Bill.
Welcome, Prissy. In today's episode, a bunch of different things happen. We get to start off seeing Ford literally playing God as he walks through the city of Pariah, declaring that a canyon should extend to here. And a few moments later, he flicks his hand and all time stops. This is the episode in which Elsie finally gets to the bottom of who was sending out the secret data on the Android transmission channel. Dun, dun, dun! Only to find out that it's Teresa, as she tells Bernard at the last moment. And then she investigates and she gets caught by somebody. Black Hat and Teddy try to get into Pariah, and they're stopped, and they have the soldiers, and they have a shootout, and they get captured, and they have another shootout, and then something. But most important for me is that this is where Maeve really gets to understand what she is.
Yes, I think that Maeve's scenes in this episode are the most important.
Mm-hmm. In fact, I'm going to be talking about one of them, or sort of 1.5 of them, how she opens up and how her understanding is in terms of software. Because she starts off turning the tables on her captors, then she gets a tour upstairs to really see what things are like, and then they come out with a software analysis of what she is and how she thinks, and she does something with it.
I think it's really great that they were able to take the age-old humanities questions and reframe them in terms of software, which I think makes it easier for us to see the relevance, the continued relevance of these questions.
That's exactly why I love it so much. I'm sort of a software geek. What happened in the scene I'm thinking of is that ultimately they explain to her that she is programmed, that they can wipe their memory, that her different memories and personalities correspond to different builds, which is a good software term for that version of it. But as they explain it, it's really layer by layer. So for instance, at the most detailed level, she has memories of things which happened, how long she's worked in the saloon, and those can get wiped completely. But the personality which accumulates at the next level up from those details, that doesn't get wiped. They let her personality evolve over time. And that's the accumulated personality. But they also have a layer of personality where they program it directly. I'll get more into that, the attribute matrix. And finally, they can program prime directives, which they don't talk about much, but I'm sure we'll get back to. What excites me about it is when they're programming the attribute matrix, they explain what it is. It's a bunch of different characterizations, like loyalty and courage and bulk apperception, and you can go online and find some others like vivacity and so forth.
Right. Some people have some screenshots that allow you to see, because that scene.
It's a wonderful little radial plot. We've used them in neuroscience. But it's really a two-dimensional plot. That's cheating, because it's a 20-dimensional space of possibilities. And they correspond very well to what we as humans know tends to drive people. I'm sure you could find them in psychology books. Now, as a quibble, I would do it differently. If you're really going to be in software, you don't describe it in terms of courage and loyalty. You describe it in terms of neutral signal processing, like uncertainty tolerance, model confidence, temporal versus spatial analysis, aggregation times, stuff like that. But it'll all map out. You can do the software one way or the other. The key is that it's mechanistic, and it is a program, and she has programs built into her. She isn't quite the free agent she thought. Now, what this does for us is it's a perfect encapsulation of what Westworld is doing as a medium, which is showing us how androids think. It's halfway between how humans think and how any machine thinks. And the thing is, at one level, Maeve is like a human, and she has notions of loyalty and autonomy and what she wants to change about herself and aspirations and so forth. But she's also a stand-in for bigger machines like the Delos Corporation,
yes,
or a casino, or Westworld, which are not talked about as being programmed, but they also run on software and contracts and expectations and information flow. And if you imagine Maeve as an individual can say, I'm going to dial down my loyalty and I'm going to dial up my perceptual abilities. Those are powerful statements to do. Most of us can't even manage that with ourselves. But if she can reprogram herself in order to get ahead, the Delos Corporation could program itself too. It could decide to treat their customers' worth worse and to make more money.
And
so
Delos Corporation kind of represents corporations that we have in our world with the bulk A perception dialed up and the loyalty dialed down.
Yes, so we'll get to see how machines really are at all kinds of scales in this one. That was what I got out of it.
Yeah, that is one of the things that I thought was so great about this episode, and where I think in this episode they re-engage very explicitly with some of the key themes that were introduced in episode 1. For me, with the whole idea of androids coming into human consciousness or approaching human consciousness brings up the age-old humanistic question of free will versus determinism. And with Maeve, we have this moment where the conflict between those things, the assumption that she has free will and the truth that she and her actions are determined, brings about a complete shutdown or, beach ball, so to speak. And this happens when Felix tells her...
Not responding.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember.
And Felix says, most of what you say is programmed upstairs, as she's formulating her riposte about how much free will she has, essentially. And she's able to witness those phrases.
As they're coming out of her mouth.
As they're coming out of her mouth. And that, causes her to shut down temporarily. When she wakes up, she asks Felix to take her upstairs, where she travels through, as if she's Dante and Felix is her Virgil. And she sees all of these horrible things. But the moment in that, this whole scene that really got to me is when she's looking at the ad that's running against the wall, the ad for Westworld. She looks at it and her response is, how do you have my dreams? In that moment, this idea, this recognition on her part of her dreams being outside of her, and for us, realizing that her dreams are just advertising. It's chilling. It's chilling in a moment where we are constantly being sold to, where the advertising is trying to disguise itself and doing a better and better job disguising itself as advertising, so that it starts to seem like it's our wishes. That it's catering to us instead of influencing us. And I thought that moment was a great way to...
Yes, it might not be a technical solution to a social problem, but it's clearly a technological explanation of a social problem. This one I like.
Yes. So I am very much looking forward to what Maeve has in store for everybody else in Westworld. She certainly seems excited about it.
And I'm looking forward to seeing how much Maeve can go as this autonomously programming machine, and whether we see any reflections at the grander scale.
Right. Well, I guess we'll see.
All right.
Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.